I'm live. Well, I'm pretty sure we're meant to go to our intro, but anyway.
Where's the titles?
Roll titles. Hello, welcome to Untitled.mov, and as you can tell, New Year, we're doing the same shit all over again. It is exam week, so I've brought some props along with me. I have an exam tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. on a Saturday, because we film this on a Friday. Well, it's live currently. And I just thought I'd put up some awards I have, which is the URY Award, the Imposter Award, Jamie Parker East, for most time spent at YSTV. So I'll just leave that somewhere. I'll leave it on the desk. I've also got the URY Award, most likely to fail their degree. So I'll put that on there as well. And I also have the YSTV Floppy Award for the Sturkey Award for most likely to fail his degree. So my chances are good for tomorrow. Looking forward to my exam. Anyway, if you're having exams at home, I hope you're doing better than me. I am today joined by... Would you like to introduce yourselves? Left to right?
Depends which direction you're looking
left
at.
to right?
Okay, stage left. So hi, I'm Dan. I'm the computing director of YSTV. It's my second appearance, I think, on Untitled.mov.
It's got to be more than that. Okay, are we counting guests or appearance? Because you've had a few appearances, but actually guests.
Actually being here in person for the show.
I'm sure it's your third.
But I've featured in a few VTs every now and then.
I was going to say, because I'm pretty sure last time you were on, when it was Dan, it was like we sort of made a point out Dan was back.
Dan or
yeah, it was
like
Dan.
that. I don't know.
This is the.
I'm
sure we made a point out Dan being back last time, so clearly last time wasn't his first time, but
Corey,
maybe it was.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Dan.
What's your role?
My role?
Can I borrow that?
No.
Okay.
It's on the wrong hand.
What's your role? What do you do?
What do I do? I don't know.
What qualifies you to talk about tech?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm the technical director here at YSTV, as well as assistant head of computing alongside Corey, over the pond at the radio. Anyway, whatever season we're on now, because I'm losing track, I'm going senile. Oh, it's 4, okay. Welcome to season 4, episode 1. We're going to kick off with our standard segment, Open Source Project of the Week. I believe I've told both of you.
Yeah, we know
I was
what it
about
is
to
already.
say, can you guess what it is? But I did tell both of you. But this week, it is Netbox. Now, Dan, YSTV employs the use of the open source software Netbox.
We do indeed.
So would you like to explain it so I'm not the one just talking?
So Netbox is sort of like a infrastructure, sort of inventory system.
I wouldn't describe it as inventory. It's more like documentation?
Yeah, sort of like a documentation. So YSTV uses it to document what's in our server rack. So we have a nice visual diagram of like each server in the rack, and you can just click on the picture at the sort of right location, and it'll open up a page about that server, give you information about like its IP address, for example.
It's very handy for networking.
Yes, because that's the other thing we mainly use Netbox for, is for tracking all the IP addresses for all our different devices. So we have sort of 3 different subnets that we use. So there's the server subnet, which, as the name implies, all our servers go on. There's the production subnet, so that's all our edit PCs and any sort of production devices.
Stuff like the X32 is on there.
Yeah, the ATEM.
Soundesk, the ATEM, yeah.
And then there's the private subnet with devices that need to have a network connection but not accessible, or they don't need access to the internet.
So we have our cameras on there.
So our webcams, our sort of smart plug.
CCTV cameras, we should clarify.
Smart plug, which is supposed to be used for charging our devices.
I believe it turns off at night. But
it should do.
Just don't put it in a 24
It did
hour
last time we
slot,
checked.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I personally run Netbox at home as well, because it's Dockerized, which I love. And you
Love a
literally...
bit of Docker.
Type some stuff in a YAML file. It's like Docker compose up -d, and it just works. It's beautiful. I use it to remember, IPs, like you say, and remember my networking setup. So I've got a few routers behind switches type thing. So I like to visualize my network using that. It's very handy, and I like it.
I don't use netbox because I have one server, one switch, and one computer. I think I can just memorize it.
Well, yeah, I want to put URY on it. Maybe it'll happen.
Well, you can do it.
Problem is they use Portainer, and I don't know how to get the compose file working in Portainer.
You paste it in and
It doesn't work because you have to
apply.
specify environment variables separately.
No, you don't.
You do.
That just didn't work.
Throws an
for you.
error if you don't. The only
It's worked for me, mate.
the only way I got Vault Warden working was to move the environment variables to a different section.
It's always worked for me. Seems
Well,
on my machine, boss.
Well, have a.
I think-
Docker was meant to solve this problem.
I think YSTV did use Portainer at some point, but we don't lately.
I don't like Portainer.
I
just
love it.
prefer the
I use it
command
at home.
line.
I love it.
Anyway,
Yeah, command line's fine, but like, when I just wanted to look at, hey, is everything running? Is like, what have I got actually just installed?
sudo docker ps.
Shut up.
It's quicker than opening a web page. Anyway,
Not
Have
when I
you-
have it bookmarked and I have to SSH
a
into the server.
bookmark. Right.
Bookmark.
Anyway, have you got any news for us? Because I've been revising, obviously, because I've got an exam tomorrow. I refer you to my awards again. Did you manage to get us any news? Because I know you were planning for your show that was on before us.
Yeah, so I've not really been like looking. There's a couple of things that I sort of saw.
Yeah, I mean, there was something about, was it the Apple Vision? What's happening with
Yeah,
that?
and now we'll cut to a report from our Apple correspondent, Cameron Fox.
Yeah, over to you, Cameron.
Thank you, Cameron.
I'm hearing laughing. Well,
That was a really interesting report.
we'll just assume something played. What's actually happening with the Apple Vision then? Because I didn't watch.
Well, they've not
Cameron.
really said anything from what I know about it. Obviously, I'm not our Apple correspondent. Our Apple correspondent, Cameron Fox, is not me, so I can't really speak much on it. I know that they advertised that like it updates the. I think I can't remember the exact phrase, and it was something along the lines of.
Oh, Cameron's here!
Cameron's
Cameron,
here.
come to the sofa.
Apple correspondent Cameron Fox.
Cameron,
Hello, Corey. How you
what's
doing?
happening with the Apple Vision?
So today, pre-orders opened for the Apple Vision
That
Pro.
was it. I knew that something had happened today.
So I'm going to have to do this off the top of my head because I'm not prepared. But we've learned a lot of new information. A lot of members of the press have been able to try it out again over the last few days. We've had the first images of people wearing the headset. There's also been a new kind of guided tour video. We found out about the exact apps that will be available on the headset, including an Encounter Dinosaurs experience. But the headline news, first of all, it's not just a 256 gig model. It goes up to 1 terabyte. So the 256 gig one is $3,500, $3,499. And then you can get a 512 gig variation for $200 more. And then 1 terabyte for another $200, so $4,000 overall.
So a lot of Apple tax is
Yeah,
what I'm
and then there's
hearing.
also, they announced a kind of travel carrying case for it today.
Oh, lovely.
So you can take your Vision Pro. That was 200.
Yeah, I was about to say probably about
We
200
also
quid.
found out
Crikey.
Apple Care for it is about 500, and even with that, if you want to replace the front glass, it's another $300.
Oh, Apple.
If you don't get Apple Care and you break it, then it's basically like 75% the cost of just getting a new
Oh,
headset.
that's so bad. Also, I'm just quickly Googled it because we haven't been very prepared due to exam week.
Yeah.
From Bloomberg, they're saying YouTube and Spotify won't launch
Yeah,
Apple
and
Vision
neither
Pro
will
apps,
Netflix.
including joining Netflix, this says.
Yeah.
So Netflix, YouTube, Spotify, a load of these apps aren't joining the Vision Pro ecosystem. So what can you actually do with it? I mean, obviously I'm going to be against it because I'm not a big fan of Apple and, it's very expensive.
Go watch the episode from WWDC where we talk about it in more detail. But
I mean, I was actually there. I mean, I'm looking. There's a Wired article. The one part of the Vision Pro that Apple won't want you to see in the picture. She looks like she's skiing.
They do look like ski goggles.
Mark's there in the background, just shouting, "What did I say?" As they've said previously, they've noted the fact that it does look like skiing goggles.
I will say the one thing I do remember seeing of Apple's marketing for the Vision Pro is them describing the refresh rate as I think it was something like updating the pixels every 12 milliseconds for a refresh rate that's 7 times faster than the blink of an eye. Someone did the maths. That's 82 frames per second. the recommended frame rate for the Oculus Rift CV1 was to run games at 90 frames per second to prevent motion sickness. But the Apple Vision Pro is running at 82.
That's such a classic Apple moment.
So it runs at 90 hertz, 96 hertz, and a peak of 100 hertz. It will spend most of the time at 90 hertz.
Okay, so I assume your facts were from a previous,
It might have been.
it would have been like a media package, previously. So at least they're above the limit of not feeling queasy.
And we know the weight is between 600 and 650 grams. That just came out today.
What's that
when
compared
pre-orders
to
opened.
competitors, do we know?
It's pretty similar to the Quest.
That's fine then, yeah.
Not
a fan of the Quest
It has an
either.
8-core CPU, 10-core GPU, and 16 gigs of RAM.
All of which I'm not sure. I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with virtual reality, so I'm not really sure.
No,
if
nor do I. I mean, the only experience I've had with virtual reality is getting those cardboard sort of
Google
cutout things.
Cardboard, yeah.
You fold the cardboard and then you stick your phone in it and then you put it on your head and it's really uncomfortable and it hurts. And then you feel dizzy and sick after using it because the screen is terrible.
You see, I've probably had a bit more experience then because my brother owns. Is it the Vive? What's the company for Vive?
Facebook.
Yeah, I saw.
Oh yes, sorry, HTC. The HTC Vive. My brother has one of them, and he plugs it into his gaming machine, and that runs perfectly fine. But he does have like an RTX card, 20 something maybe. I'm not 100% sure, and he also has an AMD. I wish I knew his specs. Anyway, high end when he bought it, and it runs perfectly fine. So I'm not really sure of the specs that are needed to run, but 32 gigs of RAM and high end specs runs fine with the HTC Vive. So I'm not sure how that compares to the Apple Vision Pro.
This helps. I have a little more experience owning an Oculus Rift CV1 myself and having a decently high-end game machine. I can't really speak to what it takes to, like, what good specs are for onboard hardware, 'cause obviously I have a tethered headset.
Yeah, but tethered, it shouldn't be too different, especially since tethered has the overhead of
Well,
an
no,
operating
because
system.
because optimization, like, it's a lot easier. Because games usually on Quest and stuff are smaller.
True.
Look,
It's difficult to say, and we can't really comment much further because we obviously haven't a clue.
just on a rant side of things, though, given the head, just because I want to rant, Oculus,
Oculus.
or so I say Meta now, because they've just rolled into the is the most infuriating thing. Just getting Oculus running is the most infuriating thing. Because my Rift, which is a couple years old now, since discontinued a long time ago, was the only headset Meta released that used the base station towers instead of onboard tracking. Getting the drivers for that in the modern day
I can
is a
imagine.
bore. I have to dig further and further into Oculus's website every time I have to reinstall those drivers.
You should really save them on a server.
Good luck getting it running on Linux.
No. I mean, save the file.
That was a separate point. I'm saying.
Oh yeah, well,
trying to get them, trying to get the Oculus
running
Rift
anything
on
like
Linux.
VR on Linux. You
Oh no,
basically-
Steam VR works fine.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it does. Yes, Steam. Steam.
'Cause it's Steam.
Steam. There's a lot of big companies that I complain about, but Steam. They're still a big
Valve.
company. Valve. Their Linux support. What they're doing for Linux is amazing. Anyway, let's stop fanboying.
Anyways.
Have you got any other news, Cameron? I heard you whispering about something.
Yeah, do you want to talk about Samsung? They had their Unpacked event. I think it was yesterday, although I'm losing track of time.
I have been
They announced
revising
the new
straight for the past 3 days.
Galaxy S24 series. And their whole pitch was Galaxy AI, and they launched some new AI features.
Oh,
Called
classic.
its AI.
A partnership with Google to introduce Circle to search across the system, kind of like Google Lens, but you don't have to take a screenshot. You can just draw a circle.
So software. So
They have- actually, one
they're
thing that's
releasing
quite cool-
software stuff.
Their kind of big flagship phone announcement for the year was mostly software that they eventually mentioned will come to some of their other existing devices as well. They are introducing live translation on phone calls, so you can have a phone call with someone in another language. That's quite cool.
That's quite cool. Don't know when that would ever become useful, but
If you're trying to have a phone call with someone,
Why would you
speaks another
phone-
language.
I have seen
that would
other
cost
attempts
so
at
much.
it before, but it's not been good enough yet. The translation's just not effective.
you
and
know the
meaning is
you know
lost.
the Google Translate thing where you press the button, speak English, and talk to someone.
Yeah.
When I was in Spain, me and my dad went on some electric bikes we hired. My dad fell off, cut his head open, and I had Spanish people talking to me. I tried to use that app. I tried. Not a clue. They didn't know what I was saying. I didn't know what they were saying. An ambulance appeared out of nowhere. My dad disappeared. I was 16 in the middle of a foreign country with 2 electric bikes going, well, I have to find my way back to the hotel. My dad's fine, by the way. He just had some stitches and appeared later on in the hotel. But yeah, that app did not help. I had no idea what was going on until the ambulance arrived.
No hablo español.
Well,
Hablo
precise-
español.
Oh, I kept saying that. I said
inglés.
that a few times. But yeah, no, when I tried to use the app, they just stared at me blankly and the app didn't translate properly. And it also just didn't understand what they were saying. Which
Not
was
ideal
great.
in an
So,
emergency
yeah,
Not
terrible.
ideal.
This was, obviously, I'm 20 now. And
4 years
I was
ago.
16. So that was a few years ago. But I can't imagine it's got much better because it was just terrible at the time.
I will say the one headline I did see come out of the Samsung event is they announced a smart ring.
Anyway, let's move on.
Well, no,
No more details about it than that.
yeah, nothing really. They announced it, and from when they showed like a half hidden Apple-y Samsung-y kind of render, you know, when they like it's in darkness with a little bit of light.
I don't often talk to the notepad, but they have got a point. Samsung introducing every smart device.
But a smart ring. My one issue of this is
would you marry
people
me?
have
Hey
different.
Siri. Oh, not Hey Siri. Okay, Google. Will
Hey
she marry
Bixby,
me?
will you marry me?
Oh, not Bixby.
No, my one issue with this is obviously people have different ring sizes, and it looked like one big solid bit of metal. So are they going to sell this ring in different ring sizes?
I guess they would.
And can
have
you-
to.
that-
Assume so.
It's going to be kill resellability of it.
I guess they probably would have.
It's like
to,
I'd love
yeah.
to buy a
what the
second-hand
gallery are
Samsung
finding
smart
so funny.
ring. You don't have. There's no second-hand ones in my size.
Yeah, that's.
Unless you can get like make it adjustable.
I mean,
but-
I wouldn't get a smart ring anyway.
Yeah, it seems like. I mean, to be fair, but if it was for fitness tracking, right, I could see it being more useful than a smartwatch. If you don't have a smartwatch and the ring's cheaper.
Get
and
a smartwatch. I can't imagine the ring being cheaper.
I guess it's less bulky
get a-
than a
if you
smartwatch.
get
it's
a
not.
cheap-
It's
And
not
some
gonna
people
screw you,
don't
it's
like
not gonna
wearing
Get a
crush
cheap
it.
watches.
Fitbit that does, the little
Yeah.
tiny strap ones.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Anyway, I'll leave you to it, but that was the consumer tech.
thank you
Thank
very
you,
much,
Cameron.
our Apple
Thank you,
correspondent, Cameron. Dan, it is kind
Hello.
of tradition on this show to interview our guest and ask them their favourite bodge, favourite production, etc. Have either of those two things changed for you, or should we skip them and get onto the fun bit?
I think the favourite production last time I said was probably the 55th anniversary 48-hour live stream.
Is that still the same?
Still the same.
Still the same? Has your favourite bodge changed at all?
I can't remember what I said for my favourite bodge, but I think I haven't been on Untitled since then, and my favourite bodge would have been the battery-powered live stream we did at Battle of the Birds. The
Oh,
netball,
yes.
where everything had to run off battery power because there
We
was
had,
no...
we had my audio desk
Yeah.
running off my power bank.
Yep.
We had laptops, capture cards coming out of A10s, DTAP A10 from a
Yep.
V-Lock. That's very true.
So yeah, that was quite fun.
Oh, and ran off mobile data. Yes,
Yes.
we didn't have Ed Jerome or Wired either. That's
Especially...
I need talking to a microphone. Sorry, I'm
radio
tired.
presenters.
I'm used to the microphone being fixed. No, yeah. So a completely self-contained OB.
Yeah,
Completely
essentially,
a wireless OB.
it was very cool. I loved it.
And yeah, it was all very kind of last minute, but we still managed to go out on time with
It was the
graphics,
most-
working audio.
Most last-minute
video.
OB we've ever done, and probably the smoothest OB we've ever done. Minus, I think, one battery change.
Yes.
Like, I was playing Switch. That's how relaxed it was. But anyway, Dan, do you have a show and tell item for us?
I do. So you may be
Wondering what this is.
wondering what this item on the table is. So what I've got here is a DVB-T receiver, or digital video broadcasting dash terrestrial receiver. So this can actually receive like TV and also FM.
Oh, can it? I didn't know it could receive
The
TV.
URY right now.
Yeah, if you install the right software. So this is a little receiver, and then on the other end is a tiny little aerial.
You see, I also have one of them. I've just
Yes.
never bothered to try and get the drivers working. So
Yeah.
you and me might have to chat about that sometime.
But the thing is, I haven't actually used this for watching TV or listening to the radio. I use this for receiving ADSB, which stands for Automatic Something Surveillance Broadcast. I can't remember what the acronym is. But anyway, that is for tracking aircraft.
So it's for their transponders, isn't it?
Yes. So you can plug this device in and you can track the aircraft that are around you up in the air. So it's quite interesting to see what aircraft are about. Unfortunately, because York isn't really on a flight path and there's not many airports around here.
Well, apart from the fighter jets we get nearly every week.
We get the flight jets every now and then.
That one time I crashed in the central hall.
No.
It's a game night reference. I didn't actually.
But so yeah, you can't actually see many flights, and because it's quite a small aerial, it doesn't have quite a large radius. So, but it's still interesting to see what flights are about. And the main reason I've got it is because you may know of another website called Flight Radar, and so they list lots of all the flight tracking.
Is it Flight Radar 24?
Flight Radar
yeah,
24.
full
Yeah,
name. I'm just checking. Yeah.
yeah. So basically, where they get their data from is people like me set up these little aerials in their sort of homes, back gardens, attics, and then you could submit your data to Flight Radar.
Yeah, it's crowdsourced.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the main benefit of that is if you submit your data, you get a free business subscription to Flight Radar.
Yeah, so they have a subscription tier that gives you
Yeah.
access to stuff like, there's like 3D renders, you get more information.
Yeah, you get a lot more information about the aircraft, which if you're a sort of a nerd like me, that's quite
I was going to
interesting.
say,
You're
we're,
submitting
we're very
full
much
data.
sticking to today's title. I mean, that sounds great to me. I've just never bothered to set it up. So it's something I'm definitely going to do now we've had this chat.
Yeah. So yeah, it's quite
Like,
interesting.
here's my data. There's nothing here.
yeah.
Give me this.
So even though it only maybe picks up a few flights every now and then, you're still contributing data. So
Negative confirmation.
I love
Yes.
crowdsourcing. It's just,
yeah,
crowdsourcing's amazing.
it's quite fun. So yeah, that's my little device that I brought on to show.
Very nice. Have you got a show and tell item, Corey?
No.
Okay, well, I have a show and tell item.
No, Jamie, put it away.
I should have put it in a better position. Mine isn't tech related, but I just
Okay, so moving on.
I just thought I'd show you. So in this bag, I have a pen.
Wow.
This is a computer science pen.
Oh,
It says
I've got one of
University of
those.
York Computer Science Department. So, I might use that in my exam tomorrow just to annoy physics.
For context, Jamie is not a computer science
Yeah,
student.
I am a physics student, which this is a physics pen. So I've
all
used
can
that
pull them
before
wrong,
in
yeah.
my exams for good luck. I also have a University of York Department of Economics and Related Studies pen, which I'm just going to pop here as well.
You have one for every...
have you collected them all?
I have a few pens. This one here is a University of York Philosophy, Politics and Economics pen. I also have
Wait, how many are in there?
Just let him keep
a
going.
few. I also have a whole York Medical School pen, which I'm just going to pop there. I have... yes, this is just the official... you can see it's actually used here. It's got some pen marks on it. But this is the official University of York pen. So this isn't a department. It's the uni pen. So I may use that
You one and only.
Exactly. I've also... sorry, we'll come back to that pen later. I've also got... the lid is out. I have the Electronics and Engineering at York, University of York pen. So the fellow people that share a department with me here at the university. I have... This one's quite cool because it's, completely cardboard with a tiny bit of plastic. It's double-ended, black and blue. And this is the York Law School pen.
That's quite an interesting
I quite
pen,
like
actually.
that pen. I'll explain where I got all these pens from at the end.
Was it by any chance in the departments that you're mentioning?
So I also have, this one's not actually a University of York pen. This is a Race Tech pen, which I got from NASTA, which is the National Student TV Association. We went to an award ceremony. They had a little setup where we went round, chatted to companies, and got some free merch.
Yeah, a little networking opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I also have a Department of Health Sciences pen. I have an University of York English and Related Literature pen. And finally, I have just a standard black pen. That's not all, though, because from my first year, so this is 2 years old now, almost 3, well, halfway through. This is a Unleash Britain's Potential Conservatives pen that I nicked from the stall at Freshers' Fair. I did also nick the Green Society's I did try to nick one of their "Fuck Boris" stickers, but unfortunately they'd run out by the time I got there. So I was going to put a "Fuck Boris" thing on this pen, just for political neutrality. But yeah, I have that pen as well. So this is my collection of pens, and I was paid by the university to basically shill for the physics department at a departmental event. And instead, I went round trading pens. The physics department had so many pens that I was trading with everyone there. And I also kept nicking the bowl of comp sci pens and replacing it with physics pens, hoping they wouldn't notice. That was actually a really fun event. I can't believe I got paid for that. But anyway, that's my show and tell. Completely random and unrelated, but I thought...
Which one's your favourite?
My favourite? Probably the law one.
I would say so myself.
It's quite nice. I like that one.
Yeah, this does bring a question to me, which is, you've got a couple months before you graduate, right?
Yeah.
Are you going to now attempt to get a pen from every single department at the uni before you graduate?
I could make that...
Because you are a good portion of the way there.
I could make that a series.
Call it Pen Pals.
I could. Do you know I'm tempted? That could be something I do like after exams in the period between exams and graduating. I just try and get all the pens. I am tempted now. Well, I'll look into it because some of these I couldn't find it because I grabbed these in a rush out of my wardrobe. I'm pretty sure I have like a department that's been moved or something. I can't remember. One of the departments that's been moved and merged. I might have an old pen that's no longer valid type thing. So there's that as well. For example, the Department of Physics one, that's actually out. Oh, the law one went. That one's out of date because it's the School of Pet now. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on with this.
Take a pen and through only trades acquire the university.
Well, exactly. But yeah, let's move on with our tech
JB
show
buys the university.
from my pens. And let's quickly move on. I have put a bit of section here for a rant that I would like to go on, but we'll do that later. First, I'd like to chat Home Labs.
Oh.
So, Dan, that receiver there you've got, what do you
Yes.
plug it into?
I plug it into my server, which was just an old desktop Office PC
Well, that's what
that I've
mine is.
installed Proxmox on, a form of virtualization, which allows you to create lots of different virtual machines on one machine.
Yeah.
Um,
I also
so-
run Proxmox on one of my servers.
I had lots of different VMs, including one, just a very small Ubuntu VM, just to run this data transmitter. I also had other Windows Active Directory one, just to mess around with, because we use Windows Active Directory here at YSTV. I thought it'd be useful to set one up so I could just mess around and not break anything.
Yeah, of course.
Few other Ubuntu VMs for testing Docker stuff. Yeah, I think that was mostly it. Although, unfortunately, it has been out of action for a while, because since I moved place over the summer, the networking on it is decided to go not working. And
Classic.
I haven't had a chance to fix it yet. So,
That's less than ideal.
yeah.
Well, I also run Proxmox on an old desktop, an old Office PC. I used to have two. I used to have one called Dome Hall, and that used to be my main web server. And then I got another one which had better hardware. That was my Proxmox machine. Unfortunately, the power supply died on that main web server, so I've just moved the hard drive over and converted stuff I need over, like Docker containers, and run stuff like that. What about you, Corey? What kind of home lab do you run?
I currently have one single Windows Mini PC, not running Windows, running Ubuntu server.
Yeah, about that big.
About that big. Which I found out the exact same size as my Switch, so it's a nice little sandwich just sat on top of.
Your network switch, just
My
to
network
clarify,
switch.
Yeah, yeah, you got a little sandwich there.
Not my boyfriend. No. So. Anyway, sorry. Windows Mini PC, little sandwich sat there. The only thing of note it really runs is my Vault Warden at the moment.
Yeah.
Eventually, I probably won't move on to that. I'll probably move because I've been meaning to move my Plex server off of my desktop to an actual server. I just don't have a PC with enough space to turn into a server to make.
I mean, I must admit, my VM server, called Kirsten, that's the host name. It runs my. Let me get this right. It runs my Vault Warden. It runs my monitoring software, which I'll get onto.
Oh yeah, mine also runs my monitoring software.
It runs VMs and stuff. It runs and it runs Jellyfin, and it's currently on 98% usage disk wise. So I can't put any more movies onto it. I do need to increase the storage onto it. And my plan is to use that as the main server. And once I get a replacement power supply for the old server, I'm going to use that as a backup.
I thought you took a replacement.
I
power
did.
supply.
I just haven't got round to.
Yeah. So
installing
I
it.
also took a new computer from an old CSPC that YCB were throwing out to use as another server. It didn't. It doesn't. I've been having a weird. It doesn't post.
Yeah, that is.
Well, it
less than I
posted
do.
once. It wouldn't post. And then I took out the CMOS battery to try and reset the BIOS. And then it posted once to say, you reset the CMOS. Oh, also the RAM size has changed. And I was like, yeah, great. And now it's stuck in the post equivalent of a boot loop. It goes and tries and posts, and then resets, and then it tries and posts, then it resets.
That's fascinating.
Like, if you look at the power LED, you literally can see the power LED switch off for a second and switch back on.
Interesting.
And then it tries again.
That
And because obviously I
is
have a
rather
keyboard that
peculiar.
has LEDs in it, right?
our gamer, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when the computer's on, the LEDs turn on, and I can literally see the computer turn on, the final spin up, then the LEDs will turn off, then back on.
I mean,
And then back
yeah,
off.
I've never said I do home lab stuff because it makes life easier. I do it because it's fun.
It's fun and it's useful to learn as
It
well.
is.
Yeah.
It's such a. I mean, I
It is
have
fun.
my current networking setup is fiber coming into our house into like a router. You know, the modem you're given by the company.
Chad Media Box.
It's a Chad Media Box, exactly. I then have an Ethernet cable coming out of that, going across the hallway, duct tape down, gaff tape down, sorry. Goes along our stairs and then into the understairs cabinet, which is where my servers are. And in there, it goes into a 5-port TP-Link switch. It goes into cursed to my VM server. I have a mini PC running Debian, I think. That one's called Big Brother because it's my monitoring server. Currently, it's got Zymon installed on it and Isinga in Docker. Barely know for both of those. And I haven't got either of those two services doing anything useful yet.
Simon barely knows.
So it's basically irrelevant. And then I've also got, from that, network running up to my room via, unfortunately, Cat5 cable, so it's terrible, going into like an old BT Smart Hub that I'm using as a switch and a WAP. And then that plugs into my desktop PC and my laptop docking station, and then anything else I want up there.
Yeah.
It's very cursed.
My network setup is a little simpler than that.
Go on.
It goes obviously into the sort of main BT router you get from, well, obviously BT if it's a
The
BT
unchad non-media box.
non-media box router, and then from there, Ethernet cable out the side into a TP-Link power line adapter,
Oh, power line.
straight to my room, into an 8-port switch, and then just one into my server, and then just one into my PC.
Yeah, I mean your your TP-Link, your power line adapter is probably quicker than the Cat5 in my wall.
I mean, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm bottlenecked by the BT connection, not by the power line connect.
right, well, there you are. I'm
50 megabit.
because I'm fiber to the house, I'm bottlenecked by
Yeah, I'm not.
the Cat5.
Yeah, I used to use power line adapters my old house to
I
get
know
the
you
internet
did.
up into my
They
room.
fell out of a cardboard box I was moving in my house.
They can theoretically do up to 1 gig, but obviously they won't quite fully reach that.
Yeah, no, I think I'm currently stuck to probably about 100, maybe 200 megabits per second through the Cat5 cable.
Is it just Cat5, not Cat5e?
Cat5.
Would you like
That's
a Cat5e
interesting.
cable?
I know,
Go on,
it
go.
is interesting.
You don't
Yeah.
really get Cat5 cables much at all.
I know, it's just probably there from
Despite
old
the fact
days.
they refurbished your house like only
They didn't
1-2
refurbish the
years.
cables.
Oh.
They weren't even like set up or plugged in or properly. They were just left, and I actually had to find the end and set it up properly. So it looked like it'd just been abandoned.
Speaking of Cat5 cables, that reminds me of the story I was telling you about when I bought all the networking gear, like my switch and stuff, when I was finally setting up my server. So I bought I bought 2 Cat5e cables, right?
Yeah.
Or going power line, going to my switch. Didn't think about I remember I needed an extra one. So I ran the Currys on my way back down to York and got an extra Cat5e cable, right?
Yeah.
And then I had 3. bare minimum of what I needed for my network. It was all I needed at the time.
Yeah,
Open up the power line adapter set.
comes with 2.
Comes with 2.
Yep.
So now I have 2 extra
Classic
Cat5e cables
tale.
sat around.
Speaking of networking, so the reason why my home lab is currently not in action is because for some reason all the Ethernet ports on my like the box, the PC. So there's one on the motherboard, and then I have a extra PCI network interface card with 4 ports on it. For some reason, Proxmox is only registering anything connected to it as 10 megabit per second instead of
Oh.
100 or a gig.
Oh, that's weird.
So even though I could get the internet working, it was running at 10 meg a second, which is very slow.
Why don't you just plug into the motherboard one?
It did the same on the motherboard one.
Oh,
The issue is you're using Proxmox.
I'll be honest. Proxmox is good for a lot of things. Networking, I've always had issues on Proxmox.
Everything runs fine on Ubuntu.
Yeah, it can be a bit confusing because you've got the bridges.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm no networking engineer, and I have been teaching myself networking, which is probably not ideal. But my
Well, that's how everyone learns it.
my
just doing it
solution
themselves.
for reverse proxies with Nginx was using Tailscale, because for some reason, I just couldn't get my server to Nginx reverse proxy to itself. The networking just said no. I turned off all firewalls, nothing worked. So I don't know what that was about, but I now have a VM running in my Proxmox called Nginx, and that has Tailscale installed. My host machine has Tailscale. My hub or my router points to the Nginx VM, which has a different IP, obviously, and it goes, hey, you know, someone wants blah, 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 .example.com. And then that goes, oh, okay, you want to go to this Tailscale IP, which is actually on the same
That is
network.
very cursed.
And go to this port. It's so dumb.
Yeah,
And yeah.
I just have my Nginx config currently just points itself back to its because it's
Local host.
No, I don't actually point to localhost. I just point to the local IP on the network in case I move the services. It's easier than just having it alert.
I mean, if you move the services, you have to move the IP anyway.
More if I move Nginx and not stuff off of that other stuff off that server.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
But anyways, it's just
It's
But
semantic.
what I found out recently is Nginx, or at least Nginx Proxy Manager, which is what I'm using. Just have a
More
UI.
web. More.
I like
Do everything from command line. It's so
No.
much easier. I will accept doing some things from GUIs. But 2 things I will never accept is Docker and Nginx. Those 2 things are just so much easier from
You know what?
the command
No,
line.
because I tried to do Nginx from the command line. Didn't work for me. I spent half an hour talking to you on Discord,
Works
and then I
on
went
my
to
machine.
Anyways, as I was saying, I found out at least before I go on the tangent, what I found out it can do is it can just reverse proxy straight to a Docker container.
Yeah, it can.
Yeah.
Port forward.
No.
Reverse proxy to a port.
No, straight to a Docker container. Put in the name of the Docker container. If it's on the same host,
Oh, right. I'm with you.
it goes straight to Docker. You can say Docker container, and then it's Docker container's internal port.
Yeah. Anyway,
with
I think the
proxy it
people in the gallery are getting bored and they're
Yeah, I think they want to go. To the
they
pub.
probably won't understand a
go
lot
to
of
the
what we're
pub.
saying because I
I'd like
don't
to go to the
understand
pub.
it. But next up, I've lost complete track thanks to flashy lights. Also, server belly Noah. I can hear the gallery cheering because they've had that up there the whole time.
Docker.
This episode feels more like a podcast.
It's not a podcast.
I think we should start a podcast. Let's be podcast bros.
Oh my god, white guys.
Check out untitled.org. When is it, Dan?
Every other Wednesday at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
88.3 FM and uri.org.uk.
On 88.3 FM
And
and online. This
Anyway.
is the.
What have we been up to in the past week? We're going to ignore the curse.
what my server looks like.
Oh, yes, that's the mini PC.
That's not the same mini PC.
Sorry, Philip.
I thought we were supposed to be hurrying up.
Yes, we are meant to be hurrying
Oh, yeah.
up.
For context,
next
my-
week on Untitled, Ash is going to explain what's in that picture. But we're going to move on for now.
You
So,
know, actually-
in the past weeks, because it hasn't just been 1 week, we've also obviously had Wise TV Live today.
Have we?
Anything cursed happening? So I was busy revising.
Not really.
Fairly
today.
standard.
Video and
Fairly
audio
standard.
stopped working just before we went live.
Classic. Yindoors. We had Yindoors. Anything cursed happen at Yindoors?
I wasn't there.
Apart from the fact I had to tape an SDI reel up because there was a dodgy connection. Not a lot. We also had a Stream Deck. Oh, yes, we have a fancy little box that I'll bring next week. and we had the commentators able to mute themselves and listen to things back and whatever. And we had a stream deck where they could toggle mute like Discord, and they're like that. So I was happy with that. But yeah, what have we got up this coming week?
Not much. It's still the assessment period for like the next 2 weeks or so.
It is indeed.
dying
We're going to a conference.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to a SMPTE event down in London on Thursday.
We are. So there
At
may
the
be some
Sky
footage.
campus.
There may be some footage from that. No spoilers, but it involves a certain famous city. Now, other than that, we have YSTV Live. But apart from that, not a lot going on in the assessment period.
No, pretty
Now-
quiet as people knuckle down for
drowning.
their
Well,
exams.
exactly. Now, I have 2 minutes and 25 seconds to explain what I've been doing on Twitter. So, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm going to promote my Twitter for once. Follow me, JamboPE. And essentially, the problems I've been having is this here is a Windows Surface Pro 7 Plus. And it obviously runs Windows.
Really?
This is not a flex. It's going to sound like a flex. This costs $2,000. And
That's fun.
just for clarification, do not spend $2,000 on a Surface Pro. This has a, I think it's a 10th, maybe 9th gen. I think it's a 9. Oh, I should have looked this all up.
It's an i7.
I think it's an i7. It's a 9th gen i7, 4 cores, 8 threads. And this is a 65 quid, second-hand ThinkPad L480 with cores. I think it has 2 cores, 2 threads, but don't hold me to that.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
This has 16 gigs of RAM, this has 20, but this is slower RAM, I'm pretty sure. And this runs Arch Linux or Ubuntu, whatever I'm feeling like. And this runs Windows 10 Pro. Oh no, this runs Windows 11 Pro, sorry. Now,
Did you know he uses Arch?
Yeah, he uses
He uses
Arch.
Arch. Did you
Hang
know?
on, guys. I use Arch, by the way. That's not my background. Yeah, I use Arch, by the way.
That was funny when you had that as an Ubuntu wallpaper.
Yeah.
Now that you actually do use Arch, it just makes you look like an
I'm going to
arsehole.
cut you off because I have 40 seconds. But anyway, you know how you're meant to have more driver issues on Linux? That's the word. I have a USB-C dongle that I plug into my dual monitors and my keyboard, my mouse, and stuff. Plugged in this running, Ubuntu or Arch just worked. Okay. I sometimes had a bit of a CPU issue where, sometimes it couldn't quite drive 2 things when I was running 2 things at the same time. Plug this in. Nothing worked. No USBs. The monitors work. USBs don't. It's laggy. It's terrible. I open Firefox. It uses all of my CPU. It doesn't do that on Arch. ChatGPT crashes the bloody thing. OneNote crashes and loses all my notes from